So today I'm going to talk to you about the different levels of human consciousness that determine your sort of level of happiness. You can sort of gauge where you're at in the process and see what it takes to sort of get to the next level and potentially level up. Just remember that happiness comes from being in contact with reality, with truth, and the peace that is inside of you. And so the more you're connected to that, the happier you're going to be. And the problem that each of us faces is that we are led astray by our ego, which pulls us into dramas and conflict and fears, etc. Right? So on a certain level, it's just this sliding scale between being caught in the ego and being free of the ego. And when you're free of the ego, you're more connected to who you really are. Okay, let's start with level one. So what does level one consciousness look like? This is where people are the most miserable, right? And this level is typified by, I would say, really believing your thoughts. Really thinking that your thoughts are telling you the truth. Nobody likes me, and I'm never going to get anywhere. And these people are very much caught in a kind of victim mentality. And this is definitely a place where I was when I sort of started my journey, no question about it. It's a place where a lot of us go through as we mature, etc. So it's like there's nothing wrong with this. We just want to get out of it as quickly as we can because it's so darn painful. One of the sort of telltale signs of this level is that you can't even recognize your thoughts, right? It's difficult for you to even acknowledge or realize that your thoughts are happening. That's why I call this the first level of consciousness or unconsciousness, is you can't even see that your thoughts are impacting your life. You just believe them completely. And so when someone who's in this level of consciousness goes to meditate and you say, watch your thoughts and tell me what your thoughts are thinking, the first they can get to is, I heard a noise. And that they can't even hear the constant, always on voice that's commentating on everything. So if you're at this level, the way to get to the next level is to really start to get down to your thoughts, meditate, and watch your thoughts so that you can start to see them as they're happening. And being able to dictate your thoughts, in other words, speak them out loud. Like my thoughts right now are saying, man, am I stupid, and boy, this is crooked, and this doesn't look right, etc. That's what's happening in my mind at the moment. And the ego mind complex is kind of always doing that. If you could just take a moment and go down and hit the like and subscribe button, that really helps the channel out, and I would really appreciate it. It gets this message of higher consciousness out to more people in the world, and maybe they'll thank you for it later. Okay, so let's say you graduate from that level. The next level of consciousness is you recognize stretches of happiness. You're starting to know what real faith feels like. You're starting to trust that the things that are happening to you in your life are happening as the result of the universe being for you. So this is a level of consciousness where there's a good amount of happiness and only brief interludes of getting caught in the mind and getting freaked out and all of that. The next level, which I would call maybe the first level of enlightenment per se, would be where you fully recognize your own true nature as not being separate from God. One of the signs of the previous level is you view yourself as this person and you're trying to connect to God. This level, you realize that there's no separation there, and that really what you really are is that you really are a piece of God at worst, and completely connected and inseparable from God is kind of how you view and see yourself and how you experience life. And so at this level, there's starting to be not a strong identification with the ego, and maybe not even a strong identification with being human. It's really more, I'm this spiritual being first, and the human part of me, although it's still there, is not as important. And then the next level would be taking this to more the extreme, where don't identify with being human really at all. You don't identify with your personality that you've developed. You start to see that this is all just made and constructed by other people and the circumstances of your life, and you really start to break free from the ego. And The next level of consciousness I can only speculate on because I'm not there yet, right? Which would be somewhere along the lines of complete or total enlightenment, complete freedom. And I don't know how many people have gotten there. Jesus, Buddha, Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, are these all people enlightened sometimes? Who knows? I don't know. But this is just kind of a template for you, a kind of guide, an idea of where you're at. And always to get to the next level, it just is more awareness. And it's awareness of two things: awareness of your own true indwelling spirit and awareness of the falseness of the ego. Those are always how you sort of level up, is you just start seeing the lies of the ego more and seeing the truth of the spiritual realm more. So remember, whatever level of consciousness you're at, it's all good, it's all fine. We're all in process and we're all continuing to grow. That's what we do on this earthly plane. So I'll see you next time. I hope you're well.